Hi. Well, good day everyone. We've decided that now is the time to break the suspense. People have been asking, how's Pasky been? You know, how's the little baby? Well, here she is.
This is our daughter Constance, and she's 3.5 weeks old.
And yeah, we couldn't be more thrilled. So at the moment, she's a beautiful little girl, very happy, healthy. She's been sleeping really well, like 4 hours at a time. That's why we don't look completely wrecked for brand new parents. We've been super busy. You would have noticed the last few videos have just been me in it and without Pascal. So things should return to normal now, but well,
no, I don't know about that, but yeah.
But anyway, we wanted to introduce you all, let you see that everything's gone really well, and maybe just have a little bit of a talk about how Constance came into our life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
So was the pregnancy fairly easy for you, or what do you think?
So pregnancy, we didn't talk about it that much in the videos, but I managed to just get on with life and do all the things that I normally do.
Who would expect anything different?
Didn't have any morning sickness, thankfully. Got put out in the first trimester with a bout of COVID and quite a lot of fatigue. So yeah, the first trimester was a little bit harder, and getting towards the end of the third trimester I was very tired again, and it was a lot harder to move around. So Constance was in the position in my pelvis engaged at 37 weeks. So yeah, she was it was getting quite uncomfortable to move around at about that stage, 37 weeks.
Having said that, right when Constance was coming and Pascal had gone into labour, she still found time to milk the goats before we went to the hospital, but we'll sort of get to that. So yeah, okay, pregnancy with the birth. Just in a nutshell, I was super impressed. So we really were interested in a natural birth.
Yes.
And you were dead against having Constance induced, right?
I really didn't want to have Constance induced because that kind of, from a lot of the books that I read, that kind of introduces a suite of interventions. Because it's not a natural process, it stops all of the hormones that help you go into spontaneous labour or labour naturally happen, and things can happen too fast and it just isn't moderated well, so you often end up having pain management and things like that and more intervention with doctors. And so that's fine, like that's not a problem, but I really wanted to try for a natural birth, so I didn't want to, I don't think I would have, I'm not sure whether I would have achieved, I might have, but I'm not sure whether I would have achieved a natural birth had we have been artificially induced with hormones or my membranes ruptured by the doctors.
Yeah. We didn't film a lot of this, so we like to tell stories obviously through images, but you know, you're just going to have to deal with a bit of storytelling here. But it was a close thing because we live rural. If you'd gone over 41
and a half, so I had Constance at 41 weeks and 4 days, so full term's 40 weeks, and they were saying that I really needed to be induced at 41 weeks and 5 days. So we'll go into how I went into spontaneous labour and avoided the induction at the hospital. Perhaps we'll go into that now.
Well, what was causing us the anxiety was they were saying at 42 weeks we don't have the facilities here where we can let you have the baby in the hospital here. Now we very particularly chose a small town, a close-knit community where we wanted to have our little baby. So it would have been really awkward to have to leave town, go and have a baby somewhere in the city. And also we would have been an hour or more away from this farm and all the commitments that involves, because you know, like the animals still have to be milked, fed and all the rest of it. So
it was an hour and a half to 3 hours away, so
there's a lot of reasons why we didn't want the induction.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
All right. So you didn't, the clock was ticking, we were getting really close, and you pulled out all the stops, didn't you?
Yeah, well, so I mentioned at 37 weeks that her head was already engaged, which is, I think that's quite unusual for a first pregnancy. So her head was floating around. She was head down for 30 weeks, so we weren't too stressed about her going into breech and having to have a C-section, because that's what you have to have here in rural WA if the baby goes into breech position. So we weren't too stressed about that, but her head was engaged at 37 weeks, so the midwives were getting excited and thinking she was going to come, you know, between 37 and 40 weeks, but that time came and went and nothing happened. So at 40 weeks, we started getting serious about trying to go into spontaneous labour, trying all the different tricks and hacks. So there was lots of drinking of raspberry leaf tea and eating dates. I did lots of workouts, like there's specific stretches and circuits you can do that induce labour, and they actually gave me a lot of contractions, but I didn't actually go into labour doing all of that. Yeah, what else did we do? I did a lot of expressing of colostrum from week 37, but I did that more intensely by week 40, so I was expressing a lot, like a few hours every day. I actually spent a whole day, well, a whole morning, 3 hours in the morning and a few hours at night expressing, which was really great because I had colostrum to give to Constance when she was born, but that didn't induce labour either. It definitely got the contractions going, but yeah, I had quite a few nights where I had lots of contractions in the evening, like maybe for an hour and a half, went to sleep and then woke up in the morning and they were gone. So it was super frustrating. So in the end, my midwife and even our GP mentioned that you can take castor oil to induce labour, and I'd been holding off because I knew it was like gonna put me into a purging process for a few hours before I went into labour. So I didn't really want to do that, but I ended up taking the castor oil and
it worked like a treat, didn't it? It
worked. So I had contractions not long after doing all the purging, and yeah, they stayed with me for the whole morning. They came on quite strong actually. I had an hour and a half in bed with light contractions, and then they just came on strong and I couldn't be lying down at all. Couldn't lie down for the rest of my labour actually. So I was just bouncing on a ball for a bit and walking around the house to get through them at the beginning, and then yeah, things intensified a bit.
They certainly did. Before we roll on,
yeah.
You were saying that you're expressing colostrum, and I just wanted to just say that a lot of our older relatives and a lot of other people that have been through it, they hadn't actually heard about that.
Yeah.
Where before the baby's born, the mum's making plenty of colostrum that whole time. The breast milk doesn't kick in until the baby's actually comes out. So you can actually put away quite a store of colostrum just for, it was quite helpful when Pasky was tired. Or you know, like the baby was sort of having trouble latching. We did have that colostrum, and we were able to really dose her up and get her immune system rock and rolling right from the get-go.
You can feed them with a syringe, a spoon or a cup, the colostrum, so when they're newborn.
A little egg cup, like you can make them sip it if you want, and that's great. Sorry about that little detour,
that's
but
okay.
It was just interesting because a lot of people were just like, oh, I'd never heard of that, it's such a great idea.
Yeah,
so it was cool.
It was really cool.
So when you'd taken the castor oil, so you woke me up basically at 2 in the morning, maybe 1:30 or something like that.
Yeah, I think I was just lying in bed with the contractions. I don't even think I woke you up until I got out of bed and told you.
It was 2ish. It was around about 2.
Yeah, so I think when I got out of bed, you stayed in bed for a bit longer, and then you came out to join me when they got a bit stronger.
It's important for new dads out there not to panic.
Yes,
take it
have
easy.
a rest.
Because you're
going to need it.
You're not going to rush there.
Yeah.
So you can better believe that all the pigs were fed and the goats were milked by Pascal by about 4 in the morning.
Yep.
And so you were managing your contractions through that.
Through them, yeah.
We were playing Fleetwood Mac and old cheesy stuff like that, which was sort of a bit of a
laugh. On the fitball, bouncing on the fitball, singing. And by that point we contacted the midwife because we had like about 3 or 4 contractions every 10 minutes. And she just said, well, just labour as long as you can at home, which was really quite amazing.
That's good advice.
Yeah, that was really good advice. And because my membranes hadn't ruptured or broken, so my waters hadn't broken, which is quite normal for most women. Only 1 in 7, I believe, or 1 in 8. Waters break before they go into labour, so there wasn't any risk of infection and things like that. So the midwife said I could stay at home and labour until I got uncomfortable and needed to go in. So yeah, I actually didn't mention earlier, but we had a really fantastic support from the midwifery group practice here, where we are in the southwest in Manjimup. So I was assigned 2 midwives, but my main midwife was on call that day. So. That was really great, and she was wonderful support for the whole pregnancy and actually postpartum as well. She's been really great.
During the pregnancy leading up to the birth, we did actually get onto some online resources where, like Zoom calls with people, and they were talking about a thing called hypnobirthing, where you all sorts of techniques to get your mind off the pain, sort of thing. We'll talk about it in a second. I don't think Pascal was she's pretty hard to hypnotise, I would suggest. But what it did do was it did sort of get us on the same page as the midwives in our country, like how they think and how they align. So
the process at the hospital, all of those little nitty-gritty bits and pieces. So that online Zoom conference with other people, other pregnant women, pregnant couples in rural WA, that was held by a midwife as well. So it was good to get another perspective from a third midwife as well.
Yeah, we were lucky in that we had a great doctor.
We did.
But the midwives really stole the show. The doctor just sort of showed up on the scene very briefly and did his thing, but the midwives they really did do the majority of the support. So where are we up to? We're listening to Fleetwood Mac. We're bouncing around. Your contractions, they seemed regular. We were like, this is bam, bam, bam. It's going to happen. This baby's going to be born by lunchtime. I was calling, but then the contractions actually stalled out, right?
Yeah, they did. So I think we were just getting one every 10 minutes, and then not even that for a while. And to get through them, I was going to say as well, we had some techniques that weren't drug related to get through the pain. Well, not really the pain, just the discomfort of the surges, because they weren't super painful yet at that point. They were quite uncomfortable. So we had we hooked up a TENS machine that morning.
Yeah, it's a little device, and it just it just sends these little milliamp pulses to pads just on Pascal's spine. So what would have happened, the contractions and whatever was causing pain and discomfort, obviously those nerves have to enter into your spinal column, then shoot up to your brain to tell it that there's something to be upset about. It interrupted those signals, and it's not like being electrocuted or anything like that. I mucked around with it and I got it up to quite a high level.
I didn't need it that high for my labour. I had it like half of what you had it.
Yeah, and so you felt that helped?
Yeah, that really helped. So it has like just a general, like a steady buzz, and then you can boost it when the contraction comes, and it sort of goes like really fast, the buzzing or the vibrations or whatever. It actually felt similar to the acupuncture that I had. So I had acupuncture as well to try and induce labour.
You were just a regular science experiment going on.
I was just trying everything. So it was a similar sensation to that actually, but just intensified in my back, not through my legs and around my back and pelvis, which is what I had for the acupuncture.
Okay.
Yeah. So the contractions started to slow down around lunchtime. We were actually able to have a meal. I tried to lie down and have a nap, but like I said earlier, I couldn't lie down during this labour. So I didn't have any contractions for like 20 minutes, and then I got one lying down, and it was just the worst. It was horrible. I was trapped, and I was sort of trapped because I was so pregnant and she was so far down. I couldn't get up off the couch, and it was horrible. So I was pretty much traumatised from that. I did not want to lie down again for the rest of labour. So so what happened, we watched a movie, and then we decided to go for a walk around the property.
And that did it?
I think that kicked it back into gear. The contractions came back when we came back inside. We put some more music on. I think we put Crowded House on, and I sung along to Crowded House. And then I spoke with the midwife because they still weren't that strong yet, and she said, just come in at 5:30, we need to see you with the doctor, because it was getting close to me having to be induced.
Yep.
So we needed to talk about what we would do. And then not long after I'd been on the phone to her, all of a sudden, just like, maybe it was just like my mind or my body was like, no, you have to have this baby. The contractions started to be really strong, and I just told my midwife, we have to come in now, we have to come in right now. Yep. And I knew we needed to go in. So everything was packed. We just got in the car and we left. And had it's about a 10-minute drive to the hospital.
Oh, not
even 7 minutes. Had 3 rounds of contractions in the car. Had one in the car park as soon as we got out. I think we made it to the birthing suite for the next one. That's the good thing about a rural hospital, like you don't have to spend any time checking in or anything like that. They know you and you just walk straight into the birthing suite.
Yep.
So I got in, and then it was on, wasn't it? We had everything packed for like a labour. We had beautiful lighting, we had music packed, we had our camera gear so we could take some photos and film a bit.
Vacuum flasks full of bone broth and delicious food.
We had food and snacks and all these things, but we had a peanut ball packed. I think there was just no way that we would be out, that Troy could leave me and go and get that stuff, because it was just really intense. And at that point, I would say it started to become quite painful. They were really quite close together and there were much stronger contractions. So got straight into the shower and we were just putting hot water on my back and my tummy, and that was relieving the pain and distracting me a bit. And I was starting to just make a lot of noise and things like that and stomp around and bang the walls and things like that. So that was a whole lot of techniques that I picked up from a few birthing books, and I'm going to include...
Bang walls and stomp around.
Yeah, and
Pretty
make lots of noise. I will include the resources that I use to help me have this natural birth of Constance in the description if there's anyone that's interested in this or wants to pass on the information to someone else.
When we say natural birth, we mean
no interventions.
No induction,
yeah,
and also no pain chemical management. So there was pain management, but it was all in Pasky's mind,
yes,
and her voice box.
And obviously the hormones being released would have helped a little bit as well.
Hello, she's awake.
Hey. Yeah.
Oh, look, she's smiling.
So we jumped in the shower and the doctor was called and he came in and I managed to get on the bed quickly between contractions and he could check to see how much my cervix had dilated, and it was at 7 centimetres and that was at...
No, 6.
Oh, 6 to 7, he said. I think the midwives just said 7 so I could get excited and it would happen quickly.
I was listening very carefully.
I feel like the midwives told me 7. And then, what did he say? That was at 5:30? No, it was at 6:15,
yeah.
And he said that the baby would be born at 8. So we were pretty excited, but I was also overwhelmed because I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to happen so quick. I thought she wouldn't be born until midnight because we've been labouring for so long. At this point, we've been labouring since 2 in the morning. I mean, we had the break, but we've still been labouring for a long time.
When Pasky says we, she means she.
I was, but you were my support person.
That's true, but it doesn't really get harrowing for the guy until the last hour or something.
Last 2 hours.
Because there's a lot of, you might not be ready for it if you're a fella, if you haven't done it before, but to see your fiancé to sort of like, there's nothing you can do. Normally you can resolve a problem, you can step in, you can do something, or like, you're just encouraging, there's not much you can do, and that is a strange feeling if you're used to doing things to resolve problems.
Yeah.
So
I hopped in the pool. I must have been getting close to being fully dilated, and that's when that really harrowing, hecticness is.
You might be skipping a bit there because you're just saying we hopped in the pool, but you haven't said that you opted for a water birth.
Yeah, I didn't. I forgot that we didn't tell you that. So we were really fortunate at our hospital that there's a birthing pool there and that the midwives are trained in water births. So that's normally something you can't really have unless you have a home birth. I mean, actually, it's becoming more and more common now in hospitals, but perhaps not in rural hospitals. So we were very excited to find out about...
It's tangled.
We were very excited to discover that we could have a water birth. Troy's sister has had her 2 kids at home in the water, and the births were really amazing. She had a really good experience. So I was really keen to try it, and the benefits for me, it seemed like it was a more comfortable way to give birth. So when I hopped in the pool after that shower and everything, it was actually quite hot because you have to give birth in a 37 to 38 degree pool.
Body temp, yeah. Yeah,
body temperature, and that's so that the baby doesn't start breathing when it's born. So it's the cold air that makes it breathe. Got in and it was quite hot, and so it was a bit uncomfortable, but I was kind of wanted to stay in there. It did help because they got rid of the gravity and the pulling, and like I said, I couldn't actually lie down, so it was kind of like it took a lot of pressure off my legs and my back being in there. And it took a lot of pressure off the baby. Like when she came out, no faucet marks, she wasn't too squeezed. Yeah. I think I heard it remarked that she looked basically like a cesarean. It didn't look like that she'd had that. She looked really great when she came out. Yeah, she did look really
I was expecting something pretty alien-like, but no, she looked pretty good. So a water birth is kind to you, but it was pretty good to the little baby here. Yeah, so we were pleased having the water birth, and we had really good support team there. So so actually it was the pushing after transition, which was really hard work and quite confronting for Troy, and I don't remember most of it because it was a really intense time. So I think my brain's just blocked out whole sections of it. I think that's fair. Yeah.
so she was, the pushing was really easy. It was because her head, like I said, it was right in my pelvis. She was right there. There was no travelling through the birth canal. She was like right there, ready to go. So the pushing only took 15 or so minutes for her to come out, for her head to be born, and then the rest of her was born in a few minutes after that.
Yep.
And the doctor walked in just at 8 o'clock as her head was coming out. So I didn't even see him. I was just completely in the zone. So when you're birthing without interventions and without an epidural, so without that block and pain relief, like where you can't feel anything to your spine and down there, you kind of get really blinkered and you're just very, very focused on birthing your child, and there's not really like, everything else is just blocked out. There's not much interactions with anyone apart from like, I need ice, or like, don't touch me or help me or whatever. So yeah, it's great having the support there because those people are there for you, but yeah, you're very in the zone.
It's a fluid situation. So 1 minute you're just like, I need a hug, and next minute, get away from me. Luckily, Pascal never went through that. You did this to me. so that was nice.
I think I did yell, get me out of here, or like, I can't do this anymore a few times, but yeah, we got through it. Sure. And then I said, I can do it, and then we got through it.
I was as proud of you then as I've always been. The birthing pool, in case you want to envisage it, it's like those World War II life rafts. So inflatable rings ×2 with a floor on it. So that was really great because Pasky was able to thump it, scuttle around because it was a bit bigger than this.
Skirt around.
So scuttle around, come and see us, get away, lay down, take gravity off. So if anyone out there is expecting, or you've got family that is expecting, really look into it. I think it's there was much more benefits, many more benefits I should say, rather than just the water enables you to float. Thrashing around, being able to hit something rubber without hurting your fist, all of that stuff really, I think, helped you get through. Yeah,
it's not for everyone. So some people get in a birthing pool and they just can't, they don't like the feeling or the sensation when they're in labour. So that I knew that was a thing and that I might not like it. So.
Cancel.
Yeah.
You can always just always just get out.
You can always just get out. And so after she was born, it's weird. Like I think you're just so jacked up on hormones and things that you don't have that instant. Like I thought I'd instantly cry and fall in love with her, but I did. I knew she was my baby and I was in love with her, but it's not like, it didn't, it took a few, like it actually took a full day for that to kind of wear off and for me to be myself again and to like...
It was the next morning, so I went home. I had the option to stay in the hospital, but I just figured it would be easy for me to get up super early, sort out all the animals, just know that that was squared away, and also Pascal would be able to let me know if she needed anything. So I opted not to spend the night with her just so she could bond with the baby, and I came back the next morning and there was tears and oh my God, she's so beautiful and all the rest. And she is, aren't she? So yeah, it was really great to see that. So you leave the hospital and sort of someone's in a bit of a mess, and you know,
well, I don't remember. That's the bits that I don't remember much of is actually after she was born. So I remember, like, I had a few first degree, so very minor tears. So I got stitched up by our GP obstetrician, and also he helped me deliver the placenta. Well, he kind of assisted delivering the placenta, so I didn't have to get injected with syntocinon, which is synthetic oxytocin to help you deliver the placenta. It's really hard to deliver a placenta in hospital naturally, because normally, naturally you would have the baby just on your chest for 3 or 4 hours. They would be at your breast having their first drink, and that would trigger the release of the oxytocin to birth the placenta. But that doesn't really happen in the hospital. They did take constants. They let me have her in the pool for like, I don't know, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. And then they grabbed her. I don't remember all the details, so I have to confirm with Troy. And then they grabbed her and did all their like routine checks that they have to do on the table. And I think that disruption might have made it more difficult, because I had a few contractions but not many to deliver that placenta, and I also had to get up and walk out of the birthing pool and get on the bed and things like that. So he actually assisted in manually removing it, and I'd kind of half delivered it, so that was really great that I didn't have to go through all of that, like not having any drugs and then having the drugs right at the end. I didn't really want to do that, and he understood that, so that was really great. I remember those things, but the instructions from the midwife that stayed with me that night about breastfeeding and things like that, they were very vague. I didn't remember them well, but Troy was there with me, and Yeah, but I do remember that I was very focused just on Constance, and that was it. Like, I don't actually remember Troy being in the room with me when I got wheeled into the room on the ward. So, yeah, things would just like get very, very blurry and very dreamlike.
I was keeping a low profile. I just wanted you and the midwife to sort of have your thing, and I was just like sort of staring at the baby.
Starstruck.
But it was definitely a thing that because you weren't induced, your body took its time, and the natural hormones, they all work together, and I think that's why you didn't have too much tearing. People are really worried about like getting cut to let the baby out, and I think if it's artificially happening, it's that train is coming to the station. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Whereas you were just sort of, you breathe through it. You could sort of back off it a little bit and everything until it got to a certain threshold, and then you were like,
there's no way you can stop it.
So
yeah.
So a lot of your decision making, as you'd expect from Pasky, you did some research. So did you say before you're going to just throw a few things?
Yes.
So in the comments to this, not in the comment, in the description to the video, some resources you found useful.
Yeah.
One of the resources that people might want to know about is when we were still sailing, we had some friends with little babies, and they were doing elimination. Communication. Okay, so we're potty training our little girl at the moment. So you want to let people know what that's all about, because the idea that you can, we didn't really want to use a ton of nappies. We don't want to do a ton of washing. You might not think that there's really any other option, but there is. There's potty training a newborn.
Yeah, so basically other cultures, Indigenous cultures, they don't really have disposable nappies. So
they do have time.
They have time, and they spend time. They probably don't put their infant down at all, carry it around, and they've also got the sort of family help all around them. But it is based on that, and it's just learning your baby and learning when she or he needs to wee or poo. And there's a lot of time opportunities where babies will wee or poo, like when they wake up, they'll have a wee normally. She'll normally have a poo after she's had a big feed. So we've been just...
You mean that they'll settle into sort of like a routine that's recognisable? You'll go, oh, these are the times when my baby's going to do it.
Those ones are fairly common for all babies, actually.
Oh, okay.
So we're getting what we're doing, it's called a catch, but we have a little potty, and you can put her over the sink, or you can put them anywhere. You can put them outside over the lawn. But we've got a little potty that we just hold her in a position with her legs up, and if she's woken up or after a big feed, we just put her over that. Or if she looks like she might be straining to have a poo, we'll take off her bottoms and put her over that. And she does her business in a little potty. So it's pretty exciting, actually, already at 3.5 weeks that she's doing poos and wees in a little potty. We're probably only catching a third of what she does, but it's definitely a great start, and it's pretty exciting.
I think it's worth doing it in the potty, like rather than in a sink, just because as she gets older and she sees it, you've instantly got that link, oh, I need the little pot, because you can move that pot into a toilet later on, and it just sort of, we've got friends now that perfectly toilet trained 2-year-olds, and it's achievable with a late 1-year-old as well. Yeah. So there's no reason really.
I think it's achievable with a 1-year-old,
All right, we'll see how we go.
Yeah.
So there is definitely that option out there, and we're going to roll with it. So,
you're liking it, aren't you?
It's amazing how quickly you just like, she's going to have a wee.
Yeah.
And you can just tell. And I think anything that sort of brings you is your guided empathy into your little daughter.
Observing your child, yeah.
Yeah. It's just another reason to get to know them. So it's all really cool. The whole thing of having a little baby daughter has just totally impressed me, really. I really like it. I'm glad I waited a little bit, like I'm getting on a bit long in the tooth, but I've got a lot of patience now, and it's better late than never. Yeah. So, I think it's the best thing I've done.
I think it's the best thing we've ever done. Yeah. We're totally over the moon. We're thrilled with her. So, thanks everyone for listening to the story of her birth and joining us.
Well, how about we close it out by just thanking everyone that is continuing to support us. Thank you very much for everyone for your well wishes.
Those of you that donated as well.
There's been some people that have sent a little something,
us,
and that's really great.
Gifts, Yeah.
Yeah, we are. Some people have been contacting us, wanting to send a little something, but we are quite minimalist people.
Yeah.
So, we really do appreciate it, but we are just trying to keep things down to a dull raw. We've got relatives at the moment that are just like, whoa! And
Yeah.
it's a reason for them to spoil a kid. So, but thank you very much. For those of you that have been wondering, this is Constance, and we love her.